Life Unrehearsed, brought to you by Lianas Senior Transition Support, specialists in downsizing and seniors residences.
Welcome back to Life Unrehearsed on this spectacular Saturday afternoon. My name is Matt Delvecchio, specializing in life transitions, downsizing in the senior living industry.
And I'm Corey Sirota, clinical social worker and author of Someone Died, Now What? Talk about now what? I want to ask you, Matt, what's your take on dentists? How much do you like them or not like them?
I have to say, honest answer, I'm improving immensely, but let me explain. As a kid, oh boy, I must have been, 3 years old, and I went for a nap in a bed. We were at my aunt's place, and it was a relatively high bed, so my aunt was a little concerned, so she lied down on the end of the bed so I wouldn't fall out. Well, being the rambunctious 3-year-old that I am, don't I lean over my aunt and flip over the bed and do a faceplant on the floor at a higher height now, of course. So that just destroyed my bottom baby teeth. And that meant many, many visits to the dentist as the adult teeth didn't grow in properly. Right. Going for my weekly and monthly needles from the dentist. So I was scarred, if you can say that. But much improved. But I totally understand when I hear people that are anxious about going to the dentist.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Going to the dentist can definitely be very anxiety-provoking, especially for children. And for children with special needs, it can be downright traumatizing. Well, Jody Margulies understands these concerns, and she's helped hundreds of families by making the dental experience a little more enjoyable. Jody's a pediatric and special needs dental assistant. She's interacting with children, young adults, and families for over 36 years. You'd never know it by looking at her. Her demeanor with children and with the parents, caregivers, helps them find comfort and even laughter during what could otherwise be considered an incredibly stressful time. Over the years, she's developed strategies to ease the fears of the child and the parent and caregiver, as well as the collective dental team, with the intent to build long-term, trusting relationships. We're very excited to have you back on the show. Welcome to Life Unrehearsed, Jody.
Thank you, Corey. Hi, Matt.
Hello, happy Jody. Thanks for coming
back. Happy birthday to Stephanie.
I will, for sure. Thank you.
Okay, Jody. This is such an interesting niche type of work that you're doing. When did you start to develop this expertise?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. When I started my career 36 years ago, there wasn't such a need for this. There weren't so many kids that came into the office with special needs. You know, I'll never forget my first experience. He walked into the office. The appointment was absolutely quite challenging, but it was an experience I'll never forget, and it began my journey. With this guy, I looked forward to each appointment, and as time passed, we became more comfortable with each other. And it's funny because I learned his disability is not what defined him. His personality was. And as the years passed, the numbers increased in kids, and I was lucky enough that I had a boss that trusted me and gave me the freedom to explore and develop my methods. And, you know, like I always say, I became certified in autism awareness, but the reality is, best teachers I ever had were the kids themselves.
So well said. And Jody, you know, you are so, knowing you know, how empathetic and compassionate you are. You were meant for this, Jody, you know. And I have to just ask, in general, and particularly for kids with special needs, why is oral hygiene so important?
Well, you know what? That's a really good question, Matt. When you think about it, our health and well-being, you know, our mouth is vital for, what do we use it for? Eating, drinking, tasting, breathing, communication. When there's a breakdown in proper oral hygiene and you don't maintain it, plaque will build up, and the plaque builds up, and it's bacteria, so it can cause infection. Your gums become red and inflamed. You can get cavities. And, you know, it's really known to be associated with painful and unpleasant diseases like gingivitis and of course the caries, the one we know so well, bad breath. And, you know, Matt, the truth is, no matter what causes it, pain in the mouth is no fun at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you're right. That's Jody Margulies. She is the founder of Trepidation to Trust. She's giving us some helpful hints to make the visit to the dentist a little more enjoyable, particularly for special needs children. So, Jody, what is Trepidation to Trust?
Well, okay, here it is. basically, in a nutshell, it's a comprehensive look into the challenges that are faced by children, families, as well as dental personnel when it comes to a dental visit with someone with special needs. There's so many strategies that you can use, but before you start using any of your strategies, you need to understand each child as an individual. So knowing that no two children are alike, you need to figure out what strategies apply to each child. And I always say in understanding, there can be empathy. So my seminar, Trepidation to Trust, basically is unique in the way that it starts by understanding. I've interviewed two young men that they've shared their experiences with regards to dental visits and their special needs. One of them has Tourette's syndrome, Gilles de la Tourette, and the other one has autism. And they're both incredibly articulate. And, it helps understand who they are, what their needs are. So, like I said, in understanding, there can be empathy.
Absolutely. And Jody, I have a special needs daughter. She's 23 now, and she attended Summit School. Many kids there have some form of special needs, just an incredible school. And I know that going to the dentist is a major concern. In my daughter's case, fortunately, she actually looks forward to it. And Jody, it's people like yourself that were at the dentist that made her feel comfortable over the years. However, that is probably not the norm. It's a big concern for children and their parents, isn't it?
It is. It really is. There's so many people out there that are struggling and avoiding for so many reasons. But the need is so great. We're part of this group called the CSDH, which is the Canadian Society for Disability and Oral Health. And, in its infancy, it was just a dream, but I was blown away at their first forum when I realized the tremendous need for resources in the community.
What does the CSDH do?
The CSDH, it's a group of professionals that have gotten together. Well, honestly, it's not only professionals. It's like-minded professionals and families that have gotten together to create resources, make changes, educate those inspired to learn, but really don't have the resources to learn. And the cool thing about it is for families, it's a forum where they're able to have their voices heard. So together with the families and the professionals, we can advocate for better resources, and we give them hope.
You're listening to Life Unrehearsed. Matt Del Vecchio here with Corey Sirota, and we're talking to Jody Margulies, who's providing us with some helpful tips to make the visit to the dentist a little more enjoyable for children with special needs. We're going to have to head out to traffic quite soon, but a couple quick points. If you could point out, you have an amazing program, 7 Steps to Forever. Can you bring us through a couple of those steps, Jody?
Sure. Well, at the beginning, we start with taking a full history, and we discuss the concerns that the family have. And, most important, we want them to have good oral hygiene instruction. But the steps we take to desensitizing the kids are what's most effective. We'll start out with just touching their lips with a mirror, and that is the first and only step that's going to continue, where you're going to practice it for a week.
And there's so much more to that. We're going to continue on with that. And we also want to discuss, Jody, it's not easy what you do, and I'm sure you have your challenges. We're going to talk about some of those specific challenges that you're faced when treating children with special needs.
Life Unrehearsed, brought to you by Flora-Lee Senior Residences. Always there for you. Safe, reassuring, and comforting. We call it home.
Welcome back to Life Unrehearsed. Matt Del Vecchio here along with Corey Sirota. And we're talking to Jody Margulies with a big smile on all our faces. She's providing us with helpful tips to make the visit to the dentist a little more enjoyable for children with special needs. Excellent tips, Jody, and for the kids, but more importantly for the parents. And just before traffic, we were saying you do face your challenges. What are some of the greatest challenges you're dealing with?
Most of the time when you're working in an office when you see patients with special needs, a lot of the challenges are more behavior than anything. And the concerns and the worries about, how they're going to behave in the office, if it's going to be safe to treat them, if they're going to be physical. The most important thing I can say when treating someone with special needs, I never look at it as a challenge or as a challenge in the negative. I look as if I'm challenging myself to know what it is that's causing this challenge, and we try and just work around it. We're really lucky. The one thing you have to know is Rome wasn't built in a day, and it can take months, years. It can take a long time till children with special needs get comfortable with the dentist.
And I think your empathy has to shine through so much and come through. I want to go back to your 7 Steps to Forever and your program called Trepidation to Trust. So you talked a little bit about getting a history and a little bit about the desensitizing. What else do you do in that part? What are some of the other steps?
Well, you know what? My goal is, by the end of the program, I want the kids to become familiar with the dentist-mouth association, as well as familiar with the noises that can be heard in a dental office, because we want to decrease as much of the stimulation as possible. And if they're used to it, then it tends to be a little bit less scary once they're there. So I bring in some of the, sounds that can be heard in a dental office. But the main thing is, like I said, it can take a long time for the kids to become comfortable. So the 7 Steps to Forever isn't necessarily you do one step 1 week and then the next step a week later. You might be stuck on step number 3 for 2 weeks. So each step is just integrating the next step. You're also getting to see if the kids are pouching anything, and you're getting to have a bond, a different type of bond with the child as well.
And you talk about bond here as we talk to Jody Margulies on Life Unrehearsed. Jody, and you probably may know I'm going to be asking this question.
I have a feeling.
Bond, you talked about challenges, and every situation probably has a unique customized solution. Could you recount the story with the one child that you were having a little bit more of a challenge with?
Yes, I surely will. So he came into our office, and I'll just start off by saying that the parents have not only given me permission, but encouraged me to tell the story because it was really quite funny. And he came in, and he was really scared. He was, his comfort was rubbing his dad's scruffy face. So at each appointment, he'd rub his dad's scruffy face, and that would calm him down. Well, this appointment, Dad came in, and he was totally clean-shaven. And what happened is he's just not getting comfortable, and he's trying to get onto his dad's face, but it's too smooth. So I tried to put a toothbrush in his hand, and I tried to use a dryer ball in his hand. I pulled out everything I could think of. The appointment began as a disaster, and I thought, no, there's no way I'm letting this guy go home remembering this miserable appointment for him. I literally remembered that I didn't shave my legs that day. I really am so glad I didn't get fired, but I lifted up the bottom part of my pant leg, and I let him rub my leg, and it actually soothed him. And, like I said, I'm really lucky to still be working, although it did suggest I keep my pants down next time, the pant leg down. But, yeah.
Jody, you are the best. Just to be able to think of that. And secondly, to tell us on the air. That's up to you. Oh, amazing. I think
it happened a long time ago. Just
you should think that if anyone listening in is thinking this is the lengths at which and the empathy and the creativity that you have created as part of your program. And I don't think our listeners need to worry about you whipping out your leg at any time soon. Yeah. But for the most part, I really want to hear, because I know that you're very excited about a special project that you're working on. Can you tell us about that?
I am. So like I was speaking to before about the CSDH, or the Canadian Society for Disability and Oral Health, it's such a unique group, and every single person in there is committed to making sure that the lives of these children who require dental treatment are met up with. So I'm part of the education committee, and along with 3 dentists from across Canada, we've put our heads together to come up with some solid ideas on educating the dental teams all over Canada and supporting families that have children with special needs. So what we're doing is we're planning on getting a survey out to the families in the near future in order to get their perspective of what is needed as far as accessibility to dental care. And our ultimate goal is to align educational programs with the needs and perspectives of the families and the persons with disability.
So great, Jody. You know, you've got such a nice niche, such an important niche, and I'm speaking firsthand, you know, from having a child with special needs. So we want to thank you very much for coming on to Life Unrehearsed. Jody, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, to reach me, they can reach me at jodymargolis.com. That's JODIEMARGOLIS.com. That's my website. You can reach me at hello at Jody Margolis, again, JODIEMARGOLIS.com. And if anybody is interested in doing anything with the CSDH or would like some more information about the survey that we're going to be doing, the website is csdh.ca.
That's wonderful. Jody, thank you so much. And if you did miss that, you could also go on the Life Unrehearsed Facebook page. We've got Jody all over that page with her information. Jody, thank you very much.
Thank you, Corey and Matt.
Thanks so much, Jody.
All right. Corey, what do we have coming on next week?
Well, next week, her son died 3 years ago in a motorcycle accident, and now she's created a legacy that promotes thinking, acting, and being safe. Tune in to hear more about that and raising twins, the blessings and the challenges associated with parenting twins.
Going to be interesting, pros and cons, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in to Life Unrehearsed. As a reminder, for all your inquiries or assistance with retirement homes, seniors residences, or downsizing, it'd be my pleasure to help. Our services are completely free. Call me at Lianas Senior Transition Support, 514-622-8074 or lianasservices.com. Many thanks to our technical producer, Jimmy G, working the board, and you can listen to Life Unrehearsed here on CJD 800 every Saturday at 3 p.m.
Life Unrehearsed, brought to you by Lianas Senior Transition Support, specialists in downsizing and seniors residences.